We'll turn this way so you guys can see. No, you're fine. So last week, I actually spoke with Director Barakin. My name is Lieutenant Hall. I'm with the Sheriff's Department. I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 17 years. I recently moved over to the School Resource Officer Division, and it has been one of the greatest things that I've done so far. So, I'd like to talk with you about a project that we're planning on doing, not just for Clover Garden, what we would like to do for Clover Garden, but also for every school in Alamance County. Okay. We're not looking to take the place of rapid response, which North Carolina has us do yearly training on, but we're looking at cutting down our response times and also having a way for every officer in the county at any given time to be able to get to any school and find a location of a threat. So that first off, before I get started, I just want to tell you, thank you guys for allowing me to be here. Thank you, Director Barakin. Your school, this campus, both campuses have been awesome to work with so far. I appreciate you guys being, good to Deputy Bellingham. He enjoyed being out here and we enjoyed the partnership. So, come over here in August. First thing we wanted to do was look at our safety plans for responding to active events. Just because this has active shooter on it doesn't mean that's the only thing that we can use this for. Okay, if there is a medical emergency, if there is a student that needs services right away, we'll be able to get our emergency personnel to them as fast as possible. We wanted to establish an up-to-date and actionable safety plan that enhances the response to school officers, patrol deputies to active shooter situations, effective action to reduce the loss of life. We want to make it simple but effective. So why do we need this? Well, as you can see, the numbers of school shootings have only gone up. 2021 started at 73. 2025, we've already had one. 2024 was the highest year with 83. Okay. So when do most school attacks happen? See, the numbers show 406 in the morning classes, and they range from sporting events to dismissal. So I want you guys to understand that another reason for us doing this is because your SRO might not be on your campus all the time. Okay. So that's why it's important for your staff and for your administration to also understand this plan. In the event that we have to have officers coming to your school, they need to know where to go. Okay. So the goal is implement a three-phase process to update, improve response protocols for active shooter events. We're going to focus on preparation, coordination, putting a plan in place, and making it happen. So as you can see, these books that we have, every officer is going to be equipped with these. So what we did was we had our drone operators for the sheriff's office come to every campus that the sheriff's office covers. They took overhead visuals of the schools. These were just done in December. So this is the most up-to-date images of every school in Alamance County that we have that the sheriff's office covers. We also have, obviously, Clover Gardens, 2 campuses, and the Burlington Christian Academy as well. As you can see, that we also have included Freedom in this because, like we said, we're looking at doing this at every campus in the county, not just the ones that the sheriff's office covers, the ones that the Burlington Police Department covers, the ones that the Grand Police Department covers, Mebane, Egon, and so on. So we started out with a mapping design, and then we wanted to make it simple. So we decided to go 4 colors: blue, yellow, green, and red. What we decided to do was to break each building down into 4 smaller sections, color coding each one, because it takes the thinking out of it for our SROs and for our administrators that are in the building. If we have an active event on campus, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have chaos. You're also going to have tunnel vision. Okay. What we would like to do is put 3x5 placards within inside the buildings at each of the four sections, which you'll see a diagram here in just a second. I use Southeast as an example. The image that you see here is the exact image that are in these books. So you would have red, green, blue, yellow, four sections of the building. We also have landmarks such as the cafeteria, the school entrance. We also label highways, student parking lot, areas that can be easily identified coming into a situation. So why is this important? Because inside the hallways, inside the red area that you would see right here, you would have a placard that's red, okay? If we have a situation, it's not, I don't need my SRO trying to direct an officer into a building and tell them they're on the second floor of, right above the cafeteria. Most officers in the county, they're really good, but they're not gonna know where the cafeteria is in every single building, okay? I'm not trying to get them to a specific room. I'm not trying to get them to a specific restroom. I'm trying to get them to an area so they can go do work. So why is this important and why would it cut down time? Because it would also cut down the things. Officers wouldn't have to constantly think about where they're at inside the building. They've got time to take care of what they need to inside the building to save y'all children's lives and the faculty and staff. Not only that, we can use those landmarks with communication. So what it would sound like is, we have an active event inside Southeast High School. I'm in the red zone, get me officers here. They would have this book in their cars. It would also be inside our CAD system, which they also have on their computers. And they would also have it digitally as well in a PDF form. 3 ways, because we all know technology always works every single time. Okay. I'm a firm believer in having all of this information right here in front of you, because I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, if we have a situation like that on any given campus, phone calls are gonna be made by every which direction, and they're gonna bog down the lines, okay? Nobody's gonna be able to call in or out. So like I was saying, what you would hear is on the radio, or what our officers would hear is, CCOM, we've got shots fired, Southeast High School, red zone. Our officer would be able to go to the book, see where the red zone is at. They would know exactly where to come from the highway. CCOM got 2 victims down red zone. Why is that important? Because that's going to tell EMS, I know I need to go to the red zone immediately. Okay. Shots still being fired, yellow zone. Okay. So after we put the plan in place, that's when the training comes into play. What I'd like to do is have our officers train on buildings once our maps are finalized, once our buildings are posted with these 3x5 placards. What that also do is be able to train the staff as well on this, because who are the first people that any active shooter is going to go after? Your first person is going to be your SRO. Your second person is usually the principal or the PD teacher. Okay, why is that? Because they're the ones that usually are going to be the ones that try to stop the threat. So once we have our buildings posted, once we have our books in play, we're able to set up training with our officers. And I don't want to just set this up like I was talking with Director Bracken. I want to do it as soon as possible. I don't want to wait, if at all possible. This is not one of those things that we need to sit on, because we need to think about the safety of our children first. So I know that was quick. I tried to make it quick because I'm not a very good public speaker, but I try my best. Does anybody have any questions about this or what we're trying to accomplish here? Yes, ma'am.
What does the cost look like?
Okay, so we as a sheriff's office are trying to cover everything, okay? Right now, the only cost associated with this is our 3x5 placards. Why are we wanting to do them that small? Because A is for the staff and law enforcement note, plus it, it is not very intrusive to the schools as well. But we are looking at funding those right now. Yes, sir.
In your opinion, if there was an active shooter or behavioral incident or medical emergency, would having an SRO at each campus reduce response time?
It would, but the other part about that is we need more than one as well. I mean, I can't, I would say confidently that if you have an SRO at every campus, that 100% they're gonna go to the threat every single time. But at the same time, they're gonna be trying to call in as well to get more officers in the county there. And the one part that I did skip over is why we wanted to do this is because the guys in the county, our schools are so spread out. It's not like the city. Burlington City, they do a really great job. Their response times are very light because their schools are within a couple miles of one. Out here in the county, I cover schools from Pleasant Grove, all the way down to Silver. And that's an hour and 45-minute drive, just about, depending on traffic in the middle of the day. For me, yes, sir.
As for the power bill,
Sure.
these factors, are there gonna be some kind of reflective, coding on it where, it's kind of light, they can identify the color quickly.
So that's a good question. That's something that we haven't thought about. We were looking at laminate placards so far. I've gotten several different quotes for different ones. The material we're looking at doing is laminate, so they will be shiny. I'm assuming that they will be able to be seen in the darkness. But that's something that's a hurdle we would have to cross when we got there. And like I said, guys, this is a work in progress. We're simply trying to get something put in place to be able to help our schools. So, we looked at other alternatives. I'm gonna be honest with you, everybody knows cops are the smartest guys in the room, so we definitely have to bring things down a little bit, and that's kind of what we decided to do here. We're trying to get a simple plan that can be effective under pressure, under stress, because that's exactly what it's gonna be if we have one of these situations. And hopefully it'll help the school as well.
I want to shout out Lieutenant Hall and our Adams County Sheriff's Department. He's got to hang with us a couple of days, this week, doesn't have to be, but they have been an amazing partnership to have, for the community. So anytime that our SRO is not on campus, they find a backup and somebody comes to cover us, and we greatly appreciate that. And then they ask for feedback from the schools, which I thought was really valuable, in something like this. And again, hope that we never, ever have an active shooter event, hope just to be best prepared. Another thing that they've been doing also is sending other officers from different places, different parts of the county, like you said, to kind of get acclimated with the different schools. So for a minute there, we were like, whoa, where are all these people? Where are they coming from? But it was a really good experience because they would walk around and kind of, check out the buildings, and it was always nice to have that presence there. So Lieutenant Hall, I just want to say thank you, and we appreciate what you guys are doing.
And just to feed off of that while I finish up, I will tell you this, my sheriff has told us, he said, I don't care what you do, you make our building safe. Okay, and that's where this comes into play. We want to make this a smooth, easy learning environment for these children that we have on campus. I do know that every single day we have 28,000 students that we look at. I just pulled the numbers when we were putting this plan together, and that's just the sheriff's office. 28,000 students a day is what 18 officers got. And that's including all schools and one Christian school. So, we try. This is something very simple. Feel like it can be very effective, but it does take a village, and that's why we're here. So I want to thank you for your time. Just because I'm leaving doesn't mean that you can't ask any questions. I can assure you, if you need something, just like Director Brady said, please call me, email me, text me. I've been at the school for the last couple of days. It's been awesome hanging out with kids.
When do you anticipate approval?
Well, so I would ideally like to have approval as soon as possible, so I can do something as soon as possible. Because we feel like it's a good idea, but we all know that a good idea is a really good idea until it's a good idea comes along. So.
Will the training be, done with students in the school?
So we are not looking at doing it with the students first. We're looking at doing it with just staff and law enforcement, because we don't want to draw too much attention to what we're doing. We honestly, we want the staff to be informed because you guys need to know what we're doing. And obviously, if our SRO goes down, we need to have a backup. So at any given time, you know, one of the staff members can be calling in to see how, say, hey, I'm in the red part of the building. And if they're in that part of the building every day, it's a pretty good chance they're gonna memorize what part of the building they're in. So, that's a good question. I'm real cautious about bringing too much attention to it with the children so that they don't necessarily know the reason why we're doing this. Hence why we're doing 3x5 placards. We know what it is, it's cheat code to help us get to where we need to in the buildings. That was like record, that's.
You're awesome.
But I can get you guys copies of them once we have the plan finalized. Yeah, no, that's perfect, because I gotta give you that.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Okay, next item is finance, February 2025 budget approval. Considers any comments or information to add.
It's been there for review today.
Ms. Lane, review. Okay. No questions or additions. No. I have a motion to approve the February 2025 budget. Ms. Lane, second. Mr. Young, all in favor? Auditor engagement letter, comment on the consent.
No, ma'am, just to let the board know that the finance committee has reviewed that and is looking for a vote to accept.
I have a motion to approve the auditor engagement letter, utilizing the same auditor as last year. Any questions on that?
For the 25-26.
25-26. Second, Ms. Lane, all in favor? Academic.
Actually, I'm gonna transition as I get ready to talk to people up. We like to begin with, the recognition of honor, and so we're going to do this way. So we want to share with you all that we are pleased to announce that Clover Garden received, the Regional Award for the best charter school in Alamance County, and that was presented on Valentine's Day, February the 4th. Awesome unity, for us. And also, we would like to take this moment to, show to the board, and the representation of Ms. Foster, who joined us for our February staff meeting. I know that we created plans for surprise, but also appreciative of your, presence. Yeah, so they told us, thank you, are here today, to talk with you on share for our spotlight. And that is in the person, we have two teams, so we have a double today, with, 5th grade and 2nd grade are going to be presenting to you all today. And I'm going to have 5th grade to come up first. And so that is, Mrs. Foster, Mr. Rochford, and Ms. Foster are going to come present. And then following them will be 2nd grade, and we have, Ms. Spielendorf, Mrs. Manus, and Mrs. McGregor, better known as Mrs. Slack. Fifth grade, if you will come up, and prepare to present for us. Oh, okay.
So we're the fifth grade team, I'm Ms. Foster, I teach fifth grade science and social studies, my second year at Clover Garden.
I'm Scott Rochford, I teach ELA fifth grade, second year Clove Garden.
I'm gonna say that this is my
Second year.
first year, so I'm following.
Second year, sorry about that.
Teach math, fifth grade at Clover Garden next year.
So we, as a team, we like to kind of, this is small, I know, but.
We're gonna give you
Um,
time.
We, kind of talking at the beginning of the year, we always see the students, and I had the ability last year actually down with the fourth grade, that I can do color currency for. We realized they just needed a lot of unity, they had a lot of energy last year. A lot of different personalities, and when some personalities got together, it wasn't always the best thing. So we tried to be as uniform as possible this year, and that's kind of what we went through. We're trying to prepare them for middle school. It's not the easiest thing because they're still elementary babies, but we need them to understand next year. I'm bummed now, you're gonna be on the lower totem pole for next year. So this is actually what we send out to the fifth grade parents every Sunday, whether they read it or not. But it just details what we're doing each week, any special events regarding fifth grade, and then anything with tests. So that way they're a little more up to date. We actually have done really well with the kids this year regarding referrals. I know the first half of the year, we didn't have to write any. Now they're getting spring fever, but we don't have to write about the full year, which is fine. One of the ways that has really helped us prepare them for middle school is in 6th through 12th grade, they have to be able to have computers. And so we're lucky that we're able to have one-to-one with them, and it's really important. They're not always on task, but they try their hardest. So, yeah, she's like, oh. But they do really good, and they know what's expected of them each day. They know where to go to, what to do. And so one of the things that we focus on this year, 4th grade helped us tremendously with just teaching them how to get onto the computers, how to email. And so we elaborated off of that last year. And so we focus on Google Drive because the beginning of the school year, when I opened up Google Drive, it was bad, real bad. We had to teach them how to get on folders, how to make their own folders. And when I do my notes every day with them, they actually have to go on to Google Drive and open up their notes, which instead of beginning of the year, they had 10 copies of the same thing. They know how to, in our homerooms, go right to Canvas. They have to check any of their missing work. They have to check their grades. If they have questions, they ask us. So they're learning when to ask and the correct way instead of demanding when we do it. Typing is their biggest problem. It really is. They like to finger peck. And for one slide that has 10 words, it might take us 15 long minutes. So I found this typing class and they love it. So when there's free time, or sometimes during den time, we'll implement it and they realize what the two little notches are in the keys. So it's helping them and they're learning, even if you're going 10 words per minute, I don't care as long as the accuracy's there. So they'll get there in time. But technology has been a big success. It takes me about 2 weeks. If I were to kind of count everything together with everything that they learned from 4th grade last year being one-to-one. So one-to-one is really, really, really important, especially for the upper elementary, to make sure that they have the skills to help them next year. So middle school is not stressing out with that.
So we've got all of the academics well underway, but this slide is to kind of show how some of the smaller things are really important too, like cursive. This is a student practicing cursive. Started off kind of rough, but I think Mr. Rochford's got them going in the right direction and it looks much better. They're going to be able to sign their name and do sentences. I even see them taking some of their notes, sometimes, not all the time, certain students in cursive, even though they don't have to for math. It's not something that I expect. And then we've also been working on trying to help them to learn to advocate for themselves. Some students already came to us knowing how to do that, some didn't. But just the relationships that we built with them, they feel comfortable with us. They know that if they need something, they can ask in the appropriate manner. And it's not coming up to me and saying my name a bunch of times, but even though some of them still do it. But they feel comfortable with us, whether it's their grade or if they missed an assignment or something doesn't look right in Canvas, or I just don't understand this, can I get a little bit more help? We also obviously have tutoring for that too. And then from some of the schools that I came from before, I was in ABSS for 18 years. A couple of the schools we were Catholic art schools. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a program that basically just focuses on building relationships with students. So even though, Clever Garden we're not, I brought some of those things with me when I came. And I've shared it with them and we use it as much as we can. So the couple middle of pictures, the kids really enjoy good things that we do at the beginning of class. There's 25 kids, so we spread that out over the week, Monday 1 through 5 share, and they know what their day is. They come ready to share. They get 45 seconds. I've had to limit them on a timer now because it could go on, and it's supposed to be a 3 to 5 minute process each day. But their celebrations are what they really love. When I came to Smith last year, we would do fireworks, a couple others, but they have gotten very inventive. In the top, we were mewing, if anyone knows what that is, older students. And then also they have made variations of the fireworks and they do like mini fireworks. So they've really like bought into it. They enjoy it as much, if not more than I do. It's just a way where we can connect and share what is going on in each other's lives. And they're even like, Miss Ross, do you have a good thing? I'm like, thank you for including me. I do have a good thing. And then we all have different strategies for positive reinforcement, like whether with tests or assignments, try to not bribe as often as we can, but try to encourage them in the right direction. Mr. Rochford uses a hole punch and they can gain hole punches and then go shopping, right? And then in my room, I realized I have my badge in my pocket, but then I also have tickets, so they can earn tickets for lots of different things. I'm just looking for good behavior and I'll give them tickets and then they can save them to go shopping. So here are students going shopping in the sticker store. And then they also have occasionally every like month or two a raffle that they can save up for. And then I'm thinking about end of the year things. So just try to build the positive things in, and they are small because obviously we're here to help them grow and, really focus on academics, but the small things and the relationships over my years of teaching is what I've come to learn that are really truly the most important thing. You have to have it as your foundation.
So to continue the theme of getting prepared for 6th grade, we're gonna talk about a couple things in regards to 5th grade. Number one is expectations. From the first day of school all the way through the last day of school, we kind of promote expectations, all the things they need to know. So anytime they come into the classroom, go down the hallway or go to another classroom, cafeteria, recess, they know expectations. And if they can't do it, then we'll try it again. Responsibility, we're trying to get these kids ready for 6th grade. So as Ms. Foster mentioned, we have shown them how to check Canvas. They should be checking grades every morning. If they don't do that, we all have friendly reminders on the board that says you are missing this, and that. Make sure you check the board out. We also have what's called a 3-day late policy, because that's what middle school does. So you have 3 days to get it in after it's due. After that, it is a 0. So we were trying to get them again ready for middle school. Collaboration. We are using more and more small groups. Most of our small groups are based off of data scores from check-ins, iReady. And then time, we also with AIG, we are promoting public speaking. They're coming up here, we're presenting, kind of getting used to talking in front of crowds. Some of the kids are great already, some need a little bit of help. That's okay. Accountability, we have the DARE program with Mrs. Foster and Sergeant Laws. Besides, now we talk about drug abuse prevention, but we're also trying to show accountability with all their actions. And then finally, there's another picture here, but I wanted to bring up our EC teacher, Ms. Robertson. She comes in with inclusion. She joins Ms. Ross, myself, and I think you also have Ms. Newton as well. And she also pulls out some kids as well for further instruction. And she's also the same EC teacher for 6th grade, so she's building relationships just to get them ready for middle school as well. I think that is it. All right, thank you.
Greetings again. And at this time, if we may have your attention for our second grade community presentation.
All right, so I am in York. This is the American slash registered. Not quite finished yet, and Miss Maintenance, and we are the second grade team. And today we're gonna have a data chat with you guys. So we're gonna kind of talk about where our students started, what we're using to assess them, and then where they are now in the middle of the year. So we'll start with a snapshot of our students, and this is kind of a breakdown of our population. We have 77 students total, 33 boys, 44 girls, 16 students that are currently have IEP or 5-4, which is they do services. And then 8 of our students receive enrichment, which is not AIG, but it's like those students that are on the path to be AIG. And then we have 7 that have already been retained in kindergarten first, or are repeating second grade this year. And then we have 7 students that are completely new kindergarten this year. And then these are our data sources. So these are the assessments that we use. We use iReady for reading and math, and then we use MClass for the phonics part of the reading. MClass is like more of like a verbal they read to you, and iReady is more of on their own type assessment.
All right, so this is just a snapshot of our beginning of the year assessment. So you can see our reading. We don't even have half of our overall second grade on the green. And then for our math, we're a lot lower. The first part of our year, our main focus in math was our first 2 domains. We actually don't hit the second two domains until the end of the year. So in our next slide, you'll kind of see that big jump when we go through that one. You may. Sorry, mission plans first. So this is just things that we focus on to get our students where they need it to be. Our reading, we obviously are hitting really hard on phonics this year and vocabulary. We've hit, I know in the whole of second grade, our curriculum that we use for our phonics is Letterland. And we have hit that every single morning, and we have definitely seen growth when it comes to that within the class. And then our focus for math is that we have been using Eureka Sprint, and then we've also been using Think Up on our Ready to help benefit those children that need that extra help. And then this is our mid-year data that we took right before Christmas.
In January, so this is where we are currently, but since our presentation was pushed back, we're a little while after this goes.
So this was our mid-year. As you can see, we had set a goal and we exceeded our goal. So now we have over half of our second grade on grade level or above at this time in our ELA. And then our math, you can see we had a huge chunk as well. And then you see our 2 focus domains that we have worked on this past semester have also had a lot of growth.
And I want to point out, and Ms. Whitfield, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we're calculating our proficiency rates, we're told to take out our EC students or our students at IEP. So if we take that out, you can see that our reading proficiency is actually at 70%, and our math proficiency is actually at 62% as of January. Okay, so that's all great, but we still have goals to hit. We'll have to, hit our end of year goals. So in reading, we can see that students have made significant growth in phonics, while vocabulary continues to be an area of growth. They grew higher in comprehension than they did in nonfiction text. So our plan for the rest of this year is to continue to integrate nonfiction text into our small group instruction with a focus on vocabulary using the Frayer model to aid students in comprehension and retention of unknown words. In math, students have made significant growth in numbers and operations, while measurement data continues to be an area of growth. This was not surprising for us based on what Ms. McGregor just shared with you guys, we don't get those domains until the second half of our year based on our curriculum map. So in semester 2, we're focusing on measurement and data, specifically measurement in non-standard and standard units, telling time, organizing and representing and interpreting data with up to 4 facts. But our goal for the end of the year is to have 80% of our students proficient in both reading and math. And you might ask, why not 100? Well, that's because we recognize that some students who come in 6th grade, early in kindergarten, or 1st grade level, they may make significant growth, which needs to be celebrated, but that does not mean they're gonna meet the goal. We also recognize that some students come into our classes and have specific learning disabilities that are gonna prevent them from being able to grasp grade level content. But ultimately, our goal as teachers for our students is to encourage excitement for learning, confidence in their abilities, and to emphasize progress over perfection. Okay. So, looking ahead to next year, I'm sure you guys have already had lots of talks about this, but I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to share with you some of the challenges that we have had this year in meeting the needs of our students. So, as I feel like we all shown, we don't have check-ins, we don't have EOGs like our upper grades do. However, we are holding our students to very high academic standards. We're regularly assessing students to measure growth, analyzing assessment data, and using those findings to guide instruction. We are the foundation of students' education, and just like when building a house or high school, if the foundation is not solid, the remainder of the building will not be structurally sound. That said, we want to share with you some significant challenges we faced this year in the hopes that the board of directors and administration team can work together on ways to alleviate these challenges and improve school-wide success. First, class sizes. With a ratio of 26:1 students and 1 TA supporting 6 classrooms, it is nearly impossible to meet the needs, the individualized needs of all students we are currently serving. Teachers use small group instruction to tackle the learning gaps of their students. If I am running a small group with 6 students, that means that there are 20 students in my classroom who are expected to work independently without any direct supervision or support from an adult. A ratio of 26:1 also presents safety concerns. Earlier this year, we had an unexpected fire drill during our lunch period. It was extremely difficult to get all of K2, approximately 235 students, out of the cafeteria in a safe and timely manner. Last month, we had a behavioral incident that required us to evacuate all of 2nd grade students from the playground. Our administration team and 2 other adults were needed to mitigate the problem. While we are happy to report that this student has since withdrawn from the school, this student had numerous incidents throughout the year, and in most cases, they occurred in the classroom with only 1 adult present and 25 other students relying on that teacher to handle those situations effectively. So the first goal that we would like to present to you is to reduce K2 class sizes from 26:1 to 20:1 by the 25-26 school year. Our second point, sorry guys, specials offerings and planning time. This year, 2nd grade students have either art, PE, or library for 30 minutes per day. This allows K-5 teachers only 30 minutes per day to make copies, attend IEP meetings, PLC meetings, parents meetings, complete paperwork, and attend to personal matters such as using the bathroom and scheduling personal appointments. Having only 3 specials this year meant that our administration had to work extremely hard to find a way to provide common planning time for the teachers. The current solution is that our TA has to cover one of our classes daily. However, this plan has been less than successful. Our TA is being pulled continuously to serve the sub, covering unexpected staff absences on a nearly weekly basis. Additionally, during testing, like our quarterly check-ins, which we are in right now, teachers, special teachers, and classroom teachers are being utilized to administer tests to our caseload of students who require testing modifications and accommodations such as separate setting based on their IEPs or 5 and 4s. This means that during that time, specials are canceled, leaving students with only 30 minutes of non-instructional time per day. In most cases, this lasts for a week, if not 2. So the second goal that we present to you is to increase the variety and length of specials by adding 2 additional special offerings for K-5 students and lengthening special duration, teacher planning time, to 45 minutes daily by the 25-26 school year. Third, technology. Currently, and when I say we, I'm talking K2,
share one Chromebook cart with approximately 20 devices amongst our 3 classrooms. We also have 6 iPads per classroom. However, our iPads are often pulled for testing, and all devices are taken during quarterly check-ins, which, as I just mentioned, can last as long as 2 weeks. This makes it very difficult to reliably integrate technology into our classroom. iReady has a personalized learning portion of their curriculum that is computer-based and individualizes the learning pathway based on student needs. However, we are not effectively using this resource as our technology is extremely limited. This also makes it difficult for our own students to complete their beginning, middle, and end of the year iReady diagnostic assessments, which are computer-based. What could be accomplished in 1 to 2 days ends up taking 1 to 2 weeks because of the lack of devices. So, our third goal that we present to you is decreasing the student to technology ratio by 2 to 1 for the 25-26 school year, and 1 to 1 by 26-27 school year. Lastly, our copier budget. Historically, the individual copier budget of $250 has been the allotment for many years and is not a new limitation. However, this does not take into account the drastic increase in class sizes and resulting increase in needed copies. To effectively teach 2nd grade content using the school's chosen curriculum resources, we need approximately 39 copies per student weekly. 39 times 26 students comes to 1,014 copies per week. Mrs. Simmons recently worked hard to negotiate our copy budget down from 3 cents per copy to 1 cent per copy. Even so, a $250 annual budget at roughly $10 weekly will not get us through the full school year. While middle and high school students can utilize technology to provide instruction, as I just explained moments ago, we cannot utilize technology to alleviate this problem as we do not have one-to-one devices. And frankly, using technology as a primary source of classroom instruction is not developmentally appropriate for a 2nd grade student. Therefore, our copy budget needs are much greater than that of other grade levels. So our last goal that we present to you is to increase the copy budget to $500 annually for K-2 teachers to allocate funds sufficient for making essential copies required for teaching grade level content. Or purchase iReady student instruction books to significantly reduce copying expenses and reduce teacher prep time needed to write copies. Thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, we are happy to answer them, or should any questions from the board concerns arise throughout the remainder of the year, please feel free to reach out. We'll do our best with it. We want to see flavor gardens to continue to grow and thrive. We do realize that with growth comes growing pains. I hope that we can work together to overcome our current challenges and set Flavor Garden School apart from the surrounding public school options.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wrote down a lot,
That's
and I
okay.
don't want to monopolize everyone's time, so mostly to clarify. So you mentioned you guys would like, okay, first of all, these goals, are these in order of what you guys would like prioritized?
I can't speak for everyone. I think that I would definitely prioritize class size and specials offerings would be our top for sure. The specials offerings might, I don't want to speak for 5th grade, might take precedent because I think it would help alleviate some of the other problems. Like when we have check-ins and we're all getting pulled to administer tests, if we had some extra special teachers, maybe we wouldn't be pulled out of our classroom.
You said your TA is split between 6 classes,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you're 3
2nd
and
grade and 3rd grade shares.
3rd grade, okay, that's what I was wondering.
And I do want to point out that prior to this year, 4th and 5th grade did not have a TA. We only have a TA there because of Title I funding, and that's a 1-year contract.
Can I?
Yes.
It's relating to that, please. Is the TA full-time or?
She is full-time.
Full-time, okay.
She's split across 6 classes, and as I said, more often than not, a lot of times our TAs are getting pulled to cover unexpected staff absences.
Going into the TA, well, the numbers 20 to 1 versus 26 to 1, and I'm not sure if you guys can answer this, but was our previous, I think it has been 25 to 1 for many years. Is that
It was
Right,
for
Ms.
last
Simmons.
year for me, I know I had.
okay? And I just want to clarify that. So that is not something that has changed for you guys. You just
No,
feel
but I
that's a
do
lot.
feel that without a TA for our grade specifically, it's very difficult to meet their needs during smaller construction. And I know that we are comparing ourselves to charter schools where our class sizes are larger. But we also do need to consider that in the public school system, the cap is significantly lower. So if we're trying to make ourselves competitive against the public schools and other charter schools, that should be an area of concern. That should be a goal of ours.
And then on the same note, can you guys tell me what your technology split was last year? Has it been 3-to-1 for a while, or did that change for you this year? It was the same last year. Okay, I think those are my questions.
Okay.
So, thank you very much.
I don't have questions, but a couple comments. First of all, I want to applaud the 5th grade and 2nd grade, because we got to talk about that. These 2 grades are transition grades. Okay, 2nd grade, you can say they're not a tested grade, but they are getting those 3rd graders ready for testing the next year. And if they're not given what they need to give them that solid foundation in 2nd grade, then our 3rd graders are going to be down at the beginning of the year. So we want to see you have what you need. As far as, and again, the paper copy, I guess I can just relate to this because of being a teacher myself. Computers are awesome, they are. But even with my 8th grade students, even when I had a computer, I preferred my kids do their work on their paper. Because with a computer, it is so easy just to punch that answer and be done. They need that paper in front of them so they can read it, so they can go back to it. I made mine mark it up with magic markers, highlighters, pencils. I made them number questions. So this is a really, so does that just make my.
Also, like
That's-
with our iReady, sorry, so like our iReady testing too, like our mid-year scores, like I know more of my kids are on grade levels than what that shows, but majority of them do just click because it's easy and they're ready to be done with the test.
And so that is something that, you know, again, I think if you've not been in a classroom, and you've not seen that. And that's why, and I think I mentioned it to Ms. Whitfield, maybe at the faculty meeting. That's one of the reasons when we do these check-ins that we're not getting much better scores than we do, because number one, I don't think the kids realize, they know this doesn't count. And so they just go in and click answers, and I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just telling you, I'm telling you the truth as I know it. And, most of the time, my 8th graders did not do well with check-ins, did not do well with practice tests, but when it came to the end of the year, and I had taught them by that pen and paper method, and again, I incentivized them a little bit with some things. There was always a significant difference between what they did in check-ins and what they did at the end of the year. So, I mean, I hope that we will listen to these teachers because they're the ones in the classrooms, they're the ones that are doing this. And, you know, they need our support in helping them have what they need. And I'm also going to piggyback off Ms. Foster. I'm in a unique spot. I don't know if many of you are aware. I was hired last year and I started as a 3rd grade teacher, and midway through the year I was asked to transition to 2nd grade. So I have a unique perspective, having administered the BOG last year and seeing these are 2nd grade students who have never experienced what that's like. And now being in 2nd grade, it's not surprising. We don't have the resources to adequately prepare them. And assume you're aware, but maybe not. At Liberty Garden, students start rotating classes in the 3rd grade. So when we're talking about preparing them for transition, not only are we trying to prepare them academically, but we have to prepare them in their, you know, organization and self-discipline and group understanding of changing routines. There's a lot more to it than just the academics that we present.
So you guys aren't differentiated, you guys are.
Correct. Okay.
I just want to say too, great job on that growth. Like I see that. That's awesome. I mean, in the span of what, 5 months. So that's cool. I'm excited to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see where they're at in May because I know that was a struggle and it was a concern at the beginning of the year, and it's very encouraging to see growth, and we're seeing that in other grades too, I know. So that's awesome.
And again, I do agree with him as well on class size. There was a time when I would have 28 per class, and there were 8th graders. And, it was tough, you know, and they'll tell you the magic number kind of is that 20 number. Much over 20, without help, you begin to have significant issues. You just do. And again, I'm speaking from position of a classroom teacher, having been there, having done that. And it's, you know, again, I realize that, you know, students are our source of revenue as well. And that's something we do have to realize, but, you know, we do hear you, and we do understand that it makes it more difficult when there are more than 20 in that classroom. And, you know, we want y'all to know we're here.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Okay. So we're gonna move on to the assessment and data. Currently, saying our check-ins are currently taking place. In their progress right now for our third grade students. We did send out a survey to our AIG parents. We are in the process this year of developing our AIG plan. We had to send that survey out to start with to our AIG parents and our students so that we can get feedback from them before we can continue to write that plan. So now that we have the survey results, we're gonna be in the process of getting our committee together and finishing writing our plan up. We're working on maintaining and motivating our academic focus to finish the year out strong and encouraging the student accountability for their learning. We're trying to do some things in each class for already growth. We got some different competitions going on between the classrooms and within the classrooms for the already growth right now. So each grade level is deciding how they want to do it. Some are doing just how many lessons they're passing, some are doing how much growth they're making amongst their progress monitoring versus their diagnostic test. So there's a couple of different ways, but each grade level is deciding how they want to do that. And instructionally, we're trying to build up the core. We're focusing on small groups. And that is the big thing that we're hitting in each PLC is how to go about small group, and really diving into that data piece and making sure that each small group, that each teacher is hitting, digs into their individual data. And so that's the big thing for us with curriculum. And then we're having, again, our MTSS. We initially had it on the 25th, but there is an AIG conference that day to talk about our AIG plan development. So we had to move that in together. Meeting took the 31st. And that is with our DPI consultant. She's coming to help to do our fan best for that.
So we've had scheduling advising going on. We started off with our new to CCP students, rising 10th graders and 11th graders. So we have Ms. Walther, Ms. Gladden, Mr. Kane, and myself serving as the advising and scheduling group. So we're continuing with scheduling and advising. They begin again March the 17th, and we hope to have them all wrapped up by April the 11th. So our goal this year is to meet with as many families and students that we possibly can to help prepare them for drafting their schedule for the current school year, for the 25-26 school year. Through our appointments, we have discovered some misunderstandings of some of the guidelines that were presented last month. So I want to add clarification tonight, and this will be followed up with a Sunday message, just kind of recap of what I'm going to cover with you guys tonight. So the guidelines presented last board meeting were specific to career and college promise. ACC provides the opportunity for 9th and 10th grade students to participate in a CCP program that has 2 pathway options for those grade levels. So it's the college transfer and the career technical education pathways. However, CGS this year, we allowed our 10th graders who are AIG, which means academically gifted in math and reading, to participate in the CCP program. So this year was our first year offering that to our 10th graders. So we are going to continue to offer honors level courses and our
AP courses for those students who qualify for those. So really, there's been no change in the course offerings that we offer. The biggest change was just, clarifying that our 9th grade and our 10th grade at ACC, we only do 10th grade, and those are for our students who are AIG in math and reading. So we also continue to offer the North Carolina Virtual Public School courses through CGS. They are taken via the internet, and they require the student to learn online independently and demonstrate self-motivation to excel. So student participation in the NCVPS courses is reserved for acceleration and instances where there's a required course for graduation that we do not offer on our campus. The course catalog is coming. We are hoping to have it finalized and shared with everybody in the upcoming Sunday message. And so we realize that minor revisions for clarification within the guidelines that were presented last month are necessary as we continue to work with families and with students in our advising appointments. So as an amendment will be presented once those revisions are complete.
For athletics from Coach Pascal, Hannah Tickle won Offensive Player of the Year in all conference for varsity women's basketball. Nicole Weed and Braden Giotto are all conference basketball players. Spring sports are off and running, all 10 of them. And our middle school soccer team is currently 4-0, so they're doing wonderful. For student life, at the high school, we celebrated a honor roll for students with some cookies on February 26th. And then we wanted to celebrate Noah Kastner. He received this Raylos Science Scholar program award. He's going to do a 6-week program, a research program focused on STEM.
All right, and down at the middle school, we did launch our hot and ready pizza attendance challenge. So we've been doing it for 6 days. And just to give you some clarification on that, the 2 weeks prior, 10 school days, we only had 3 middle school classes in that entire period have perfect attendance for homeroom. In the 6 days that we've done it, we've had a total of 12 in five and 6 school days. So I haven't counted today's yet. So it's actually making a difference. I don't know if it's through peer pressure or teacher pressure. I don't know, but so we're excited in the first class up to 10 for first 2 classes. We're gonna have a big sheet party. So that is working. I love that. Mr. Harper took a big group of his parents to Disney World. And we got to see what they did at our last staff meeting. It was fabulous. They made a video. They're not allowed to share it out, sorry, but it was amazing. Mr. Harper continues to do good things with our kids. 7th grade took a trip to Myrtle Beach, did the medieval times dinner. And we've had a lot of field trips going on, and we've had a lot of good feedback from families and students that went. So things are going well with that. And then our younger Grizzlies celebrated their love for reading through recognition of Dr. Seuss and Read Across America. So lots of pictures involved with Dr. Seuss and thing 1, thing 2, I think all the way to thing 27 in one class. So, but they're having a good time.
Right, and just to kind of bring everything together for us, we did participate successfully in our pilot for the month of February. Additionally, we participated in so the campus, they were able to conduct their statewide tornado drill. That was on the 7th of this month, and we had the virtual house and we participated in the KK campus the 27th, I believe, the last week in this month. There are some activities and we line up those dates at the bottom of the principal's report that you may want to take a look at. And the QR codes on the tables are just for images. Please check them out. And so, Mr. Harper's trip, we weren't able to start before, but I did capture a few pictures from the presentation. This is for your viewing there. So take a look there. There are some good things going on. And Clover Garden pays well. So thank you for your time. That's it.
Mhm.
I'm really excited. The Envirothon teams, the high school Envirothon teams competed in regionals, and all 3 teams that competed made it to state. And Clover Garden was first and second. And in all of the categories, Clover Garden was the number
one in all but one category.
That's awesome.
That's huge.
That is amazing.
I just want to say I love these photos. Thank you. I mean, no, it's really cool to see. It makes me feel like, I don't know, involved. Thank you.
I did want to just add that the lottery did run yesterday, so that was a success. Shout out to Miss Walther, who has been incredibly busy. Whoop, whoop. Lately, and kind of taking on that task. And so we did have over 650 applications this year. And we were able to pull around 78 spots. So that was pretty awesome. So the rest will kind of get waitlisted. And now we're in the process of, you were accepted, are you confirming, and then turning in all your paperwork and all of that stuff is happening now with the enrollment process. So our lottery was successful. So.
Didn't even have to ask.
Mm-hmm. Knew it was coming.
Okay, that takes us to the summer learning plan information.
I'm gonna tag team this one with Miss Whitfield. So this is something kind of a follow-up from our last academic board committee meeting. Just kind of looking at our data and taking a look at where our kids are faring for this school year, as well as kind of addressing the gaps that we have. So we were very excited about end-of-year testing. We think that the kids are gonna do their very best, and we hope that they will do their best. But we are working on our backup plan in case we need it. So we do want to offer an opportunity for a summer learning program. So this was something that we did not do last year. Last year had so much transition with everything that was taking place with the rapid enrollment that we had last year. We were just not in the right place to be able to do this last year. So this summer, we're going to be able to offer a summer learning camp. And it's kind of 3 different camps in one, so to speak. So got some opportunity. Shout out Miss Whitfield, Miss Weed, Miss Ginter, and Miss Wilson. Those ladies are doing our testing and our MTSS and our AIG. And they have been really instrumental in trying to help us put together a program. And so again, we're excited about this. Always worry, okay, we're gonna have staff participation because they always remind me that there's only 7 weeks of vacation over the summertime. But our teachers are awesome, and they are willing to come in and work over the summertime to make this happen. So we got a couple of different programs. Again, we're trying to fill in the gaps. Again, last year really was a learning year to see where exactly our kids were. So now, again, we've kind of got 2 years under our belt with our new population and our current populations. So we're able to kind of see exactly where all of our kids are faring on their exams. We've been kind of monitoring check-in data and things along that nature, from iReady to in-class and all the things. So couple of different pieces. Our summer learning program is going to kind of consist of 3 parts. So the first part being with our end of grade exams for our math folks in 3rd grade. So they are going to do a remediation camp. We are not going to use the words boot camp because that was met with a lot of tension a couple of years ago when we used those words. But they will take their exam and they will complete it. And then those kids that are passing the course but that score non-proficient on their exams will have the opportunity for re-administration or retesting. So that would be something that they'll take their exam, we'll look at the scores, and those kids that were just so close to getting a 3. If you get a 1 or a 2, you're considered not proficient. If you get a 3, 4, and 5, of course, you're college and career ready 4 and 5, and then ready at the 3. But so anyone that was just so close, they're on the line there to getting a 3, those kids are gonna be the ones we really kind of focus on for the remediation right after the EOG, which will take place in those days following the EOG exam at the end of the year. So it'll be intensive. The kids, hopefully we will make it enjoyable as we can, but it will be an opportunity, and then they will be tested shortly after the school year ends, if not until the last day. So they'll be retesting. Then everyone will leave for the summertime, and then after our teacher work days are over, we're gonna have another camp open up for one group for our 2nd and 3rd grade students, and that's gonna be a focus on reading only, okay? So 2nd and 3rd grade individuals. And Ms. Whitfield, do you want to speak a little bit to kind of the criteria for those kids?
So they're going to be on a continuum, and our teachers will have to prioritize that. The state gives us money for summer
camp for these kids. And they're based off of our M class for second grade only. And that's how those kids will qualify for that piece. For third grade, it's based on their proficiency. So they can qualify through the iReady, of course, or the M class. And they have to meet a certain Lexile level. And so that's why we're placing those kids on the criteria. And of course, the EOG will make their criteria as well. So then we place them on a continuum of how close are they, or whether they meet the criteria of these continuums. And so then we open it up and say, okay, you're invited, then these are our next criteria of kids that will be invited, and then this criteria. So those kids come just for literacy only, and because we've already taken care of the math. And so then we move on down to our 4th through 8.
They've got a really cool schedule that they're kind of mocking for both groups. Second and third grade will be a little bit more hands-on with their stations, just based on developmental levels and things like that. And then we're gonna start hitting with our 4th grade through our 8th grade. Okay, so we focused heavily on our EMG tested grades. And so 4th through 8th grade will have the opportunity to do re-administration in math or reading. So it's not both, because we're running them simultaneously. So it's whichever subject area in which they were just there. They were so close. So they are folks that are not in danger of, failing the subject or failing the course, we just didn't test well, right? So they were just so close to being proficient, but they weren't. So those are the kiddos that we will be kind of focusing on and reaching out to and saying, hey, if you're available, please come to our summer camp. So you're serving a lot of kids. We were kind of calculating numbers, you're looking at around 100 kids, with our numbers, because we want to continue to keep them small groups. We don't want them to be large classrooms, as you heard earlier. Class size is important. And so we want to make sure that there is a small group instruction going on and that the kids have that individualized instruction all day long. So it's really neat. So the document that I put in your book folder is neat because it's kind of got like a layout of a schedule in there. Again, there's rotations and stations. For 4th through 8th grade, they'll do more like direct instruction in the morning and then more hands-on kind of small group work in the afternoon. They built in some cool working breaks because the instructional minutes you have to be very careful with. But there's some working breaks in there, of course, some recess time, lunchtime, those type of things. But we are really excited about this. We think this will be another push to give our kids, that extra oomph, to kind of connect our year to year and try to fill in some additional gaps that we have. And then it works towards our school improvement goals, of improving in ELA and math. So again, implementation, you'll see this again, starting in May, it'll run through June. They did a great job of kind of running it so that it is, right when school's out. So we're not losing classroom management that's been taught and learned, because we were told the longer they go over the summer, the less, they remember the rules of school. So it gives them a couple days off and then they'll be back in it. And again, it's over a couple of weeks time, but it's not, too long. It starts on May 29th and will end on June 12th. So it's just a couple of weeks. We will have teachers running this program. We needed about 12. So shout out to Ms. Whitfield and Ms. Weed for recruiting. They have recruited some awesome teachers, some of which you actually heard from tonight in presentations. But they're going to have teachers running programs and then actually having somebody do tech, which is really neat. So they'll have stations and computers and laptops and those type of things too. So in addition to the hands-on paper pencil model. So we're excited about that. So they're looking at about 72 hours of instruction, about 72 hours and 25 minutes. So that's what they're going to get over the summertime before they take the EOG again. Okay, before they're retested. You're looking at a schedule of around 7:40 in the morning until 3 o'clock. So still very similar to what they're used to, a little bit longer of a day than they're used to, but still fairly similar to what they've had during school. And then, like I said, I kind of spoke to the eligibility earlier, still trying to keep those class sizes small, around 15 or so kids in a group. And then curriculum wise, so we've purchased some curriculum called Lit Camp by Scholastic. So we're using some of those programs to kind of help with those that just reinforcing those skills that they're missing. Again, there's rotations for like daily stations that they'll be going through. And then we have some materials that we bought several years ago that are still really good materials from when we did a summer learning camp back in 2022. So we have some math materials that we are going to utilize. We've saved them and kept them locked up so they wouldn't disappear throughout the school building. But those have really good task cards and lessons and things like that. that for the teachers. So, that's a big one when you're recruiting teachers over the summer, they can teach all day, it's the paperwork piece that's really daunting a lot of times. So we're doing the best we can. Ms. Whitfield, Ms. Weed, all these guys, I'm handing it here, here's your stuff. We just need you to do your work, right? So, and where their expertise level is. So another thing we'll do, like I said, we do have some opportunities, with the summer camp, we'll look at the kids if it's eligible, the kids that sign up, potentially if you need to run a bus route, those are things that you're gonna look at. If that's what the kids that signed up need, we'll have stipulations in place there, if we need a bus driver and a bus every summer. And then, of course, all the materials have to stay secure. So all of our kiddos will go through remediation camp, and then they will retake their, EOG re-administration on the 12th. For that very last day, and then there's some other activities, learning activities planned for that last day, but they will be celebrated and you're done. And we're really hoping to see good results from this. We have had success with this with our summer camp 2022, and so we hope that will be helpful. Of course, our number one goal is to, hey, try your best the first time, okay? Do your very best the first go round, but this will be for our school. Any questions, or Ms. Whitfield, did I leave anything out?
I always have questions. So do we have 12 teachers that are like, yes, I'm in?
We do.
We do.
That's awesome.
We've been recruiting,
Wow.
and it worked out beautifully.
Wonderful.
And the readings on that and.
Now, but you see my little caveat in there, just in case we may have to combine groups, but they've done a really good job.
That's awesome. And is this Monday through Friday?
Mhm.
Okay. Woo, they're gonna be tired. This is great.
And Ms. Whitfield is tag teaming with Ms. Weed on facilitating the program. So, there will be a facilitator there as well to make sure things are, along with the administrative team,
Right.
who's there, just there. Working as well, so we'll be there in case things are needed, but we're excited. But they kind of mapped it out and really just kind of watching numbers of data right now to see who would be eligible. So I just need a vote on that.
Yeah, where you
So
see
we
the
can submit.
teachers broken down in here.
Yes.
Where I have.
So they're already filled in. Awesome. I saw the numbers and I thought, are we really gonna be able to get 12 teachers? So
That is where
good
I
job.
have been committed.
That's awesome.
That's a teacher.
Students require.
They are required to be at the camp in order to retest.
Yeah.
So you have to participate in the camp in order to get the opportunity. Right, you can't mandate that they come to rest. That's right, that's
Yeah.
right, because a lot of people, if they have vacations, and stuff like that, we're not gonna encourage you to come because you really need to be there the entirety of it.
Now the teachers are getting paid. to do
They
this.
are, they're being compensated based on their daily rates like their salaries.
Right, and then in order for them to do in order for them to be able to retest, they have to attend them. But we.
All the days is what she meant to say.
But yes, they have to attend, but for second grade, we are required to do second and third, we are required to offer them that in order to have the summer camp program. We're required to do second and third together. Just as that little caveat, in order to have third, we have to invite second to put them together, and that's just the state summer.
We're required to do that if we use those funds.
Correct.
Let me
Yes.
clarify that.
Thank you.
It is not a
Yes, yes.
requirement of the
Right.
state. But if we
use
said-
those funds, yeah.
If we so choose to use those funds,
you.
which they have, that's how there are stipulations around that, a lot.
Right.
And those funds cover salary people.
Yes.
Well, and I wanna
Thank
speak on
you.
behalf of the school too.
You're fine.
You know,
Yeah,
because
no, we
You get a
take all
certain
that.
amount for some of it,
Right.
but not for all of it.
Yeah.
So that will come from the internal budget.
Yeah.
Will
Thank
the
you.
second graders retake any kind of M class or will they
No,
just
and
take?
so
the-
that becomes part of the caveat too, but they do take M class. And then they have to meet a certain M class lexile level that says whether they're proficient or not. And which leads us back to third grade. Third grade has throughout the year, they have their portfolio.
Right.
Which carries them over to fourth grade if they're not proficient as well, or the RTA. But they also have IRA, which is just for charter, which is the alternate assessment. They have, and
why they have the BOG and EOG, and then the RTA repay. And so there are 5 or 6 different opportunities for third grade. And even though, as Mr. Ray said, we cannot mandate them to pay, it still will be an incentive for some of them, because some parents will say, if you have a class, then you're gonna do the something. Right. And so that'll add just a little extra oomph to them. I wanna get this done the first time, so that, my mom and dad,
Yeah.
aren't forced to make them to go to something. So I think it's an awesome program. It looks really good.
I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but do we have anything in place for a possibility for retaking potential 5th and 8th grade science, or is that just focusing on ELA and math and that has to be?
So right now, no, our science has been delayed, every single time with our check-in.
Yeah.
Over and over and
I
over.
noticed.
So right now, we're not even guaranteed that the science is gonna be back in time.
To know the
Even
scores.
original.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
So that's still. But if we can look back at our 5th grade, science score last
Yes.
year,
They
they
were
certainly were not an issue, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they were fantastic. Okay. Awesome. That's great. Thank you, guys.
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the CPS summer learning program for summer 2025? Ms. Foster, second, Ms. Gould, all in favor? Safety plan, Ms. Reagan, any update there?
So you kind of got to hear from Lieutenant Hall tonight, which is awesome. So that's the things that they're doing in the county. But the safety plan official program, thank you, ma'am. The official program, we have to put our safety plan in, got delayed. They pushed it back because again, charters are having a very hard time getting everything in to this big giant program. So they did delay that to next year, which is awesome. So we just have more time to take our paper stuff and put it into the electronic. So that's really great for us. And then to be able to iron out some more details of our plan. So those are great things. But I did want to take a moment to brag on our school for a second. We did apply for a safety grant, and we got verification that we got it. So we didn't get the whole amount because I went for the whole kit and caboodle, but we did get around $100,000. So I am ecstatic about that. So Brady and I have brainstormed because these funds that we just got, you're gonna have to spend those by the end of the school year. So that means like installation, all those things have to be done and spent and invoiced and all that good stuff. Really before June 30th, because it closes out the school year 2 weeks prior to that. So we're on it. And so Mr. Whittington and I, us along with the principals, will be looking at the items that we got funding for and try to prioritize. So we've got some really cool things that are coming in regards to safety for both of our campuses. So don't want to share those items with you yet until I verify with my team that they're good with it. But some really cool things that you will be seeing at least implemented before the new school year.
So then,
Me again? Here's me again. God, who made this agenda? Okay, next, so in your board folder also, you will see, I put the whole copy of the feedback we got from the charter schools and everything. I know I've been talking about the feedback, but now you actually have a copy of the things they highlighted as things we're doing well, as well as areas in which we can improve. And so our team is working on kind of dissecting this and reviewing this and, trying to improve in various ways based on their feedback. And so I just want to kind of highlight the required actions. So there's requirements and of course there's recommendations. So the requirements are things that we have to do. And I was pleasantly pleased, like I said, last time with the requirements that we were asked for. It was awesome. It was a really good day. So there's some things that we need to update. We changed our mission statement 10+ years ago, but they don't have a record of it in the system. So we're going through folders and files to find our mission statement because we have no desire to change it. We like it pretty good. And so we're going to have to verify that. In worst case scenario, they're going to expect me to resubmit another amendment, which if we all remember from last school year with an expansion, we are very familiar with the amendment process with office charter schools. We just had to do that for our expansion, for growth, and then for location change. So we've done that. So no worries there. But they did want to make sure, because the mission statement they had was the one from back in 2001 when we first opened. And so that was just, there's just some missing link there. So we got to fill in that gap. Other things in that original application were curriculum changes. So we used to use core knowledge, as our like basis. Well, things have changed. And some of those programs no one uses anymore, that we had listed in curriculum. So she gave us some verbiage as to how to put that in there when we asked for that amendment, so that it reflects, it doesn't tie me to iReady, or it doesn't tie me to in-class. Like it'll tie our school in kind of more of a broader area, so that as curriculum changes and new fads are coming along, we can change with it and not have to submit an amendment every time. So those are some things we need to make sure we update as well. Our discipline policy, again, we feel a whole lot better with that, the policy that we put in place, because we reinstated one from several years ago that we've been using for a long time, but we do need to update some verbiage in there, especially in regards to like federal guidance for disciplining kids with disabilities. So there's just some verbiage there. They're like, hey, just make sure you've got that listed in there somewhere, make sure it's visible, make sure parents can see that. And then under that area as well, like making sure that there's just consistency along with, contact and communication once kids are in trouble. And then the last part was updating our hiring practices. So there is a State Board of Education revoked licenses list. And so typically when we hire people, they give you a copy of their active license, they affiliate themselves with a school, and I can go in there as a school and say, yes, they are ours, and I can see their license. But there's actually a revoked license list. And so I think this is a way to really button up some of these county jumpers and state jumpers that may have a revoked license, just to make sure before we hire someone, we check that list to make sure they're not on it. So that will be something that we will embed into our hiring practices. So overall, I was, like I said, really pleased. These are things we can knock out. These are things that she said, hey, I'm not looking for that till the summertime. So these are things that we can work on as a team and kind of put things in place for next year based on some of the recommendations, and then make sure we get those things changed at the state level. And then the other areas, like I said, we did have parent feedback. We did have staff feedback. And so some of these things that we got feedback on, we tried to kind of start implementing something as simple as there was like easeability of like reading links on the website. Like some of them were too dark and you couldn't read it. And so it was little things like that. And she's like, I'm sorry to be nitpicky, I just wanted it to be good. And we're like, no, let us know. So I'm going to shout out Ms. Taylor, because she has been on it, trying to update our website and get old content off and replace it with new content. So I'm excited about that. But this is just for your reference. I know you guys, we've been talking about it, but I actually wanted to have a copy of it so that you could see some of the highlights on there. And I am going to read one of the glows. The very first one: the board should be commended for their strong practices and knowledges regarding charter school finances, ensuring the board is fiscally sound and using the school's resources to meet the mission of the school. So they shouted you guys out specifically, so I thought you would know. So the rest of that, again, take a look at that. It is yours for review. And then as a school, we'll be working on some of the recommendations and growths that were presented by our community. Any questions about that?
Before I sit down.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see, okay. All right, thank you.
One will be reviewed in closed session, and then the other one is on the list. Right, then.
We have a couple of policies that we Finance Committee, Ms. Lane.
Yes, so the Finance Committee met on March 3rd. We discussed several items. One was kind of looking at our projected budget for the end of this year. That is going really well. We also discussed several different capital projects that we would like to do. And also discuss the auditor for next year. And lastly, discuss getting together at some point and creating several different financial goals, that we can work towards meeting in the next few years.
Great, thank you. Academic, Ms. Foster, I believe they're in the midst of some check-ins right now, so there'll be more to come. Mr. Huffine, long range.
The only thing I have right now is the warranty items for the high school. They are fixing several areas on the ground. We were waiting for good weather, finally. So you start seeing some of those get corrected, within the next few weeks. Most of the stuff on the inside are complete, with the exception of maybe a couple items.
Good.
We're narrowing it down.
And then there is no updates on that. So that takes us to new business, fire inspection, Simmons.
Yes, ma'am. We had our second fire inspection at both campuses, and they're in the board folder for review, but for note, anything that was listed on the fire inspections, Mr. Whittington and I have been working together to get those corrected, and he will return within 30 to 60 days to check and see if that's been done. So those are for your review. If you have any questions, of course.
And then, due to administration change, my understanding is Title IX is going to revert back to 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
So we need to vote to say we approve reverting back to those regulations for Title IX, correct? Is there any questions on that? Does everyone understand? Or do you have any discussion you want to have for that?
Can you tell me what that changes? Cause I don't know what 2020 was.
No, that's okay. They're out there. But specifically, no, I can't. I mean, honestly, there was so much involved in that, and even with the new for the 2022 to 2024, excuse me, it was legal was still chewing it up, taking bits and pieces of it and doing trainings on it. So when the new administration come in, legal, everyone got on a call and legal said, this is what your board needs to do, revert back to the 2020 policies and procedures. But as far as specific differences, no ma'am, I don't have them. I just know that we don't write that policy.
Right.
That's governed by the federal. So I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Ms. Gould, like, too specific.
Thank you. No,
I
again,
apologize.
I'm trying to look it up and my internet's not working, so I would like to see it at least.
Sure.
This is the one that it's just mandated by North Carolina, right?
No, ma'am, it's federal.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay. No, if you receive.
But we don't have a different policy, like it is
No,
just what
ma'am,
they
it's
say.
the same everywhere. You're exactly
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
But I might can, this goes like on a side note, if you want me to, I can try to see if I can see like highlight differences, if they have something out there from legal. She's currently, we have a Title IX meeting next week, I think.
Okay.
It's something, or it might be tomorrow, I'm sorry, it might be tomorrow,
Okay.
I apologize.
If it's not too
It's
much
soon.
trouble, I would appreciate it,
tomorrow.
but I can also look it up. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look it up. But if it's not too much trouble to just highlight, because I would like to know.
Sure.
I'm not super concerned about it, but
Yeah.
like, nice to know.
Well, as we go back and we're all having to refresh on 2020 ourselves as Title IX director, we just, it's so much. But with that being said, tomorrow, if you'll hold off, she may have a quick, highlight or even and I'm gonna be posting after y'all vote tonight. Reverting back, it goes back to the fact sheet. It goes back to, and I think it's like a little bit more clearer, honestly, reverting back, so.
Easier.
Yeah, it is. It's easier to read and to interpret, a little more clear. So, yes, ma'am, no problem. I'll make a note of that though.
And if you don't know the differences, I mean, you can abstain from the vote and everything. if you're uncomfortable
We
with
have
that.
to vote right today and we can push it to next month. So we get a better understanding of what the changes are.
Do you want to do that?
That's totally up to y'all.
Can I get a clarification on that then? We don't have any say in this though, right? Am I understanding?
It's federal.
Yeah.
So
It's
we,
Like, so we didn't write the policy.
Doesn't really matter,
It didn't-
right?
Well, if y'all wanted to wait and vote, if you had a better understanding, but,
Yeah,
but to your point though, Ms. Russell, honestly, it is.
We
what
have
it
to
is.
do
Yes.
it.
if we
Yeah.
want to continue to get our Title I money, we have to implement every federal Title I, 9, whatever, to
Okay.
make sure.
I just
that we
wanted to
do
make
that.
sure that I was clear on that, like,
No,
I still have a say in this.
No,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with voting tonight because, as
I mean,
Ms. Russell
yeah.
said, it is what it is.
That's a good point, that
Yeah.
Ms. Russell.
I mean, I hate to say it
You
like.
can do it all you want, but
You can alter it.
if you
just have
want to
abide by
take
it.
federal money, you gotta have those things.
Yeah.
In your policy,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's a good point, so thank you, but that's totally y'all's decision as well. But either way.
I would prefer we just vote. I mean, I encourage us to understand what going back and reverting is, but it doesn't impact that. We still need to do it.
We'll have to adopt it no matter what.
Yep, that's right.
Understood.
So, do I have a motion to approve reverting back Title IX policies to 2020? Ms. Gould, second. Ms. Russell, all in favor? Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So that takes us to closed session. We have closed session this evening for General Statute 143-318.11 A 1, 5, and 6. Do I have a vote to move into closed session at 8:13? Ms. Lane, second. Ms. Foster, all in favor? We have moved into closed session. Thank you very